March Madness is upon us, and couple that with the NBA season is going on, actually going to the playoffs. A better way to bet on those games and games in other sports like the Premier League and everything else, or even Major League Soccer, than betus.com, where you can get 125% of the sign-up bonus, which is up to $2,500 by using the promo code TKT for the Klown Times. So what are these other perks here? You can bet on the go. You can bet anytime, anywhere on your mobile device. You get fast pass, or you get paid immediately every single time. And last but not least, you can you could do live betting where you can bet during the game, getting the early and the best lines. Again, use my promo code TKT for the Klown Times to get up to 125% of the sign-up bonus, which is up to $2,500. So again, not to sound like a book record, but go to betus.com where the game begins.
Segment. I know we have a lot to talk about, man, but we're going to start here. I'm going to tee off to you, brother. Now, I'm sure you heard of a certain volleyball coach at one Grambling State University who just arrived on campus. And after a practice or two or three, decides not only she's going to make some changes to her player personnel, she decided to cut the whole damn roster.
All 19 players.
Now, I'm reading this article right quick. According to KSLA, the newly hired volleyball coach named Chelsea Lucas, right?
Now let's stop real quick. Okay. Chelsea Lucas, a Grambling alum.
Oh,
Grambling alum.
Wow.
So, and it was also, if memory serves me correctly here, but actually, no, this one needed to be trying to remember. Let me just go ahead and go to her bio right here. She's a former SWAC Defensive Player of the Year in 2007, along with being a first team all-conference performer. So yes, she was there when Grambling actually had a pretty decent team.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's legit. Okay, so she's very legit. Okay, I get it. And plus, after that, since it was 2007, she's a young girl.
Yeah.
She's a young girl. So anyway, I thought of it. But the fact of the matter is that she first notified the administration that she would make the change. I don't know if the administration knew that she was going to cut all 19 current players for the volleyball team. I don't know if they knew that.
No.
But I mean, hey, I guess going back to our previous segment about Frank Vogel, hey, you'll go out doing your own way. Now, I guess either one or two things happen. Either her whole entire team was trash. Was that trash after a few practices? Or is she just crazy? Maybe a combination of both. So I know you want to say a few things about this, man, but this is, actually, one more thing. The administration appears to be on her side. I guess to your point, she's an alum. She was an all-SWAC defensive player, I guess it was. She has all these accolades. She comes with the hardware, right? So she's not some joker off the street, okay? But this is like John Calipari coming in, a situation where John Calipari coming to Kentucky, cut all his players.
Yeah.
Something that you never thought would ever happen.
No.
So give me a insight on this, man, or give me I want to share your thoughts, because I know you have some more things to say about this as far as maybe how some people may not be looking at this.
So, it's weird that you see this happen, but it's not unprecedented. It actually was a situation in I want to say it was not too long ago, right there in Durham with North Carolina Central with their women's basketball coach who came over from Duke.
Okay.
Didn't like the bulk of the players that they had over there and released 10 of those players. The thing was, though, because of the backlash that they received, they ended up paying for the tuition of 7 of those 10 players. So they can continue their education. The problem is with Grambling, I don't think financially they have the money to do that type of thing. Wow. But to your point about the workouts, This is an actual quote from one of the former players from HBCU game day. I don't understand how she evaluated us when we were running all the time. The player said in reference to conditioning work Lucas put the team through upon her arrival. She would start something, a drill, but if we messed up, we would run or do push-ups. It was more punishment than actual practice. We didn't practice or show her anything of any of our skills, which leads me to believe that during the skills that you guys were attempting to run, y'all couldn't even get the drills right if she kept making y'all run.
Yeah.
If she kept making y'all do conditioning, y'all couldn't even get the basics down. If y'all can't get the fundamentals down, what did you? It's sad. I understand, right? So I get the whole aspect of. Matter of fact, even before I even get to that, you got to look at it like this. Okay, first and foremost, Grambling's roster made up of 19 players, 12 of which all come from the state of Texas. And the majority of these kids are coming from out of state. 17 of the 19 players are coming from out of state. You got 12 from Texas, 2 from both Illinois and Louisiana, and you got 1 each coming from Florida, Michigan, and Virginia. So you got a lot of kids who are losing out on out-of-state tuition and probably have to go elsewhere to play. Now, this is a Grambling volleyball team that over the past 10 years have not been pretty good. They've only topped 11 games once in the past 10 seasons. 11 total wins. And I'm even talking about a condensed season in the spring of 2021 where they played 18 games. Yeah, they went 500. They were still 5-6 in conference play then. So even in the past 4 years, they were 11-17 this past year, going 8-8, finishing 4th in the conference. The only one of 4 teams to finish above 500 in conference play in volleyball. They finished 9-9 in the spring of 2021, 10-23 in 2019, and then 11-24 in 2018. So this team has dealt with a lot of bad play within their program. And as a head coach, we all know that your job security is going to be rooted in how well or how bad your team plays. She at least gave these girls an opportunity to show what they currently had before she came in and cut them. Because she could have very well just been like, you know what? I've coached already within this conference, and I already have experience coaching, which she was already at, of course, Arkansas Pine Bluff and at Alcorn State before that, and has seen players within this conference, including the players at Grambling, dating back to what? 20 God, I want to say dating back to 2018. So she's seen this entire roster, their entire matriculation in Grambling, Louisiana. So she knows what this team is about. So she wanted to come in firsthand, see what they were capable of doing, along with her assessment of competing against them. And now seeing them firsthand, she was like, they're not good enough. I'm not going to lay my head on these players to go ahead and win. And I understand this whole concept of, you know what, HBCUs are a place where you need to nurture and help mature and cultivate young minds. I get that.
Sure, yeah.
But it's also a job and a business. It's unfortunate that it has to happen this way. It is unfortunate that these young ladies have to lose their scholarships and lose out on getting collegiate education. But to quote the great Kevin Blackistone, in the conversation, you see about name dropping here. Watch your heads. I'm dropping names. In the conversation that I had with Kevin Blackistone about collegiate scholarships, that's an annual situation. We've already talked about this on the show.
Right.
That's a year-to-year contract. It's not the 4-year deal that everyone believes it to be. And it can come and go at the whim of a head coach, especially if it's a new head coach.
That's
so you have to be capable of impressing that new head coach when you come in. And if you can't, they know that their job is on the line, especially if it's a reclamation project that Grambling is.
Right.
So you show you can't do anything. It's unfortunate, but we got to let you go, young ladies. I'm sorry. It's it's weird. I mean, even Black Enterprise reported on it.
That's
So
the article I read it from.
Yeah, right. So when you getting, you know, publications like Black Enterprise reporting on HBCU athletics, you know it was a big move for that to happen. So and unprecedented. So it's weird, but I mean it happens in collegiate sports, and I understand people hate seeing HBCU athletics looked at as a business, but unfortunately that's what it is because their job is on the line too.
Yeah.
Yes. So as much as it was cringeworthy, I understood why it happened. So it's unfortunate that these young ladies had to miss out on the opportunity, but I understand why the coach did what it did, what she did. So I get it.
Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, I did. It's a fucked up situation, man. But it is what it is. To your point. I mean, like we said about Frank Vogel, I go back to it. If you're gonna go out, do it your way. This young sister, I mean, she's in her 30s, but she's younger than we are. But she's like, look, I know what success looks like. I have the accolades. They brought me here for a reason. And if my players, according to reports, could not get through practice, could not get through basic drills, they gotta go. Either they improve, or if they're that bad, it is what it is. To your point, it is what it is. Speaking of is what it is, I know we want to talk about this too. This has been bandied about on every other HBCU sports forum. Brady Quinn, my man Brady Quinn. Now he does a good job on Fox Sports. He does as a college analyst. He does a very good job actually. And you know he has a show called Two Joes and Two Pros and a Cup of Joe, which features your boy what's his name? Oh god damn it. Used to play for Washington, star from Penn State.
Oh, LeVar Arrington.
LeVar Arrington, yeah. Him and some other dude who hosts. He's the Joe. The dude who hosts it. He's the Joe.
Okay. One day I'll tell you about the time I had a weird and contentious interaction with LeVar Arrington on Twitter years ago. But that's another time, another story for another time.
Oh, I might have to have you unearth that when I finish, but keep that in mind. You piqued my curiosity, brother. You did it. You done did it. I'm not going to let that go. But anyway, you know, you heard pretty much like the whole hubbub with Brady Quinn happened when his alma mater, Notre Dame, decided to schedule Tennessee State. I think that's the first time Notre Dame has scheduled a football game against an HBCU.
Not just an HBCU, against an FCS opponent.
An FCS opponent, that's right. FCS opponent, let alone HBCU, but an FCS opponent. So you could imagine some folks may not, and while those in the HBCU community, particularly Tennessee State alums, might think it's a cool thing, or maybe not. A lot of Notre Dame fans, especially, were not happy. Still aren't happy with this because you're talking about possibly FCS. How is that going to help our surface schedule, right? Or not? But this is what Brady Quinn said on the Two Pros and the Cup of Joe Fox Sports Radio show last week, near the end of last week. Quote, this is a no-win scenario for Notre Dame. No matter what way you go about it, does not help elevate their program. You're not winning a recruit for this. You're not winning in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee or the AP or whoever else want to talk about recruiting. Then he goes on. It's just a dramatic departure from what it used to be and the kind of question you see it. Notre Dame in this instance, when it's always kind of been something of its own, is now really trying to almost blend in with everybody else. And that hasn't been an MO. End of quote. Now, we all know Notre Dame, one thing they value is the independence, right? And with the independence, they can schedule whoever the hell they want. So by whoever the hell they want, that generally means Power Fives. They play a group of 5 schools every year.
They played Cincinnati last year. Just so happens Cincinnati happened to be very good and happened to be one of the future four participants at the college football playoff. But they played Toledo before. They played Kent State.
They played Temple when they were good.
Exactly. Yeah, they played Temple. I mean, it's not like they played UConn before. It's not like they hadn't played outside of Power Five. They just played all FBS opponents, right? But what they pride themselves on the most was scheduling against other Power Five conferences mostly. They play SC every year. They play Stanford every year since the 90s. They used to play Georgia Tech every year. You know, they played Georgia in previous years, recent years. They used to play Boston College every year too. And you know, they now they play Georgia Tech and Boston College periodically as part of the ACC agreement scheduling, which means every 2 or 3 years they play Clemson, they play NC State, they play Carolina, and so on and so forth, right? They play Pitt. But by the way, they used to play Pitt every year too, right? But anyway, and Miami. So the point is, especially Miami, the convicts versus Catholics,
the Catholics versus the convicts.
That's 30 for 30 was the medal for that. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, what Brady Quinn was saying, albeit in a very rough tone, disgusting tone, was that Notre Dame has the schedules every year, typically. I mean, they played Wisconsin, I think, they played them last year or the year before?
I think it might have been a year before.
Okay. So
it might have been 2019, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, because 2020 was a pandemic, so they played all ACC opponents, right? So so I get what Brady Quinn is trying to say. It's just that to many people, especially those in the HBCU community, thought he came off as very dismissive. Right? And to this piousness of PWIs and look at the HBCUs. I think it was more, he's like, why are we scheduling FCS opponents? I don't think it's much of an HBCU thing as people are alluding to, have been alluding to. I think he's like wondering, why are we playing the FCS opponent? We've been normally playing all Power Five, well, mostly Power Five, sprinkled in with some group of 5 opponents every year. Because Notre Dame is a precarious situation that it's not part of a conference, which means the bar for error is quite slimmer than, say, a Clemson, say Alabama, say USC or whatever, from other Power Five conferences where they could, as long as they have just one loss most years, they could, if they win their conference, they're usually in. Notre Dame doesn't have that luxury, right? They call because they don't have enough data points, as the committee calls, because they don't have the conference championship. So I think that's where Brady Quinn's frustrations lie. But I think people did not like the tone and that it came off as dismissive. And so I just want you to share your thoughts on it, because you're probably going to educate me anyway on all things HBCU sports. But the floor is yours. Just give me a take.
Well, to correct myself on this, they played Wisconsin this past fall.
That's right. Yeah, I figured they played in recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to your point, not just Brady Quinn, but a lot of Notre Dame fans and alums came off as being extremely dismissive of this matchup between Notre Dame and Tennessee State. The problem is, a lot of times when you do that to HBCU alums and fans, it's a twinge of racism that people believe to be there. And I'll say in this situation and in a lot of other situations too, when fans or alums of PWIs are dismissive of HBCUs as it pertains to athletics, especially as it pertains to strength of schedule, I'm going to go ahead and say it's 90 to 95% knowledge of strength of schedule, somewhere between 0 to 10% racism in there. I'm not going to say it ain't in there. And I'm not going to sit here and say that they are racist either. I'm not going to say that.
Correct.
Because that is, I swear, it's so easy to claim someone to be racist. I jokingly say that. But for people to be out there and just, it's equally as dismissive to refer to someone as being racist because they don't agree with you just because you just happen to be a person of color. Right. And in this situation, like I said before, it's 90% knowledge of race, not race, but 90% of knowledge of strength of schedule, right? With maybe a little bit of a Salt Bay racism in there. And the reason why I say that is because it's a little ironic that they attacked and I understand, okay, maybe if it was another FCS program, they probably would have attacked them with the same fervor. It is unfortunate though but Tennessee State, I say we because it's HBCU family, but Tennessee State happens to be the first one out the gate. And yes, I understand why Mark Freeman did it. The current head, Marcus Freeman, it is Marcus Freeman, right? The current
Marcus
head coach.
Freeman, correct.
Yeah, the current head coach over there at Notre Dame, why he did it. Because he wanted to give an opportunity for HBCU to compete against Notre Dame and, of course, to get that check, as my man Stephen Gaither always says. Give me that check. And I ain't against that at all. And I'm hoping this is going to be a nice check.
I'm sure it's going to be a nice check. It's Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame.
Well, it's Notre Dame, and it's going to be on NBC. So it should be a real nice check. So go ahead, get that paper, young man. They keep complaining about the strength of schedule, but God damn it, man, I'm going to need Notre Dame fans to be completely cognizant of the teams that they've played within the CFP era themselves. Because everybody who played ain't been strong teams. Let's go down memory lane, shall we? Again, going back to 2014, the CFP era, these questionable programs, these questionable FBS programs that Notre Dame has played against during that time frame, going back to 2015, UMass in 2015. Now, UMass only had 10 total wins the 4 seasons prior to Notre Dame playing them in 2015. Notre Dame ended up beating them down, and UMass ended up going 3-9 that season anyway. So yeah, that's one questionable team, right? Another one, Miami of Ohio in 2017. They had 19 total wins in the prior 6 seasons of playing before they played Notre Dame in 2019. And guess what? Miami of Ohio finished that season 5-7. So let me guess. Beating the 5-7 team probably wasn't helpful for the strength of schedule that particular season. Also, 2018 played against Ball State. Coach and Sweet Lou know how much I love my MAC team, boy. 2018, yes, time for some action. Now, before 2018, when Notre Dame faced Ball State, they had 14 total wins the 4 prior seasons to face Notre Dame. And Ball State ended up finishing 4-8 that season when they faced Notre Dame. And then 2 teams in 2019. This is a year that actually made the playoffs, if memory corrects me. Memory serves me correctly, right? 2019 was one of the years they made it.
Yep.
They played New Mexico State. New Mexico State is a team South Carolina State almost beat this past fall. But New Mexico State had 6 wins the 2 prior seasons to before facing Notre Dame in 2019. And they ended up that year 2-10. And then they faced, again, time for some action, Bowling Green, who had 9 wins the 3 prior seasons before facing Notre Dame, and finished that year, 2019, 3-9. So they played some trash-ass FBS opponents during the FCS era. So if you're so concerned, Notre Dame fans, where you at? Right here? Okay. Notre Dame fans, if you're so damn concerned about playing against FCS programs, think about the FBS trash-ass programs that you played during the CFP era, including UNLV, who you have coming up this fall.
Wow.
UNLV hasn't won more than 5 games dating back to 2013, including a loss against who? Howard University.
That's right.
So if you want to sit here and complain about playing an FBS opponent, complain about them trash-ass FCS opponents that you've played. I'm sorry. If you want to sit here and before I call it a line ass nigga again, before you complain about playing FCS opponents, think twice about those trash ass FBS opponents that you've played in the past 7 years.
Dude, check
Because
this out.
you guys have played some bad teams in your hopes of trying to make the playoffs. I don't want to ever again hear anybody say from Notre Dame out of South Bend say something about these teams, about Tennessee State and how it's going to mess up their strength of schedule. What about the teams I just named?